Jian Daowu, an ordinary fisherman in the South China Sea, became a captain when he was 22 years old. From then on, each choice he made would affect the livelihood of dozens of his crew members and their families. He has never failed their expectations, but now he could not even make the simplest decision as whether to set out for fishing. Jian Daowu never doubts about his competency as a good captain, and decades of sailing experience make Ganglu Bu take deep root in his blood and veins. Ganglu Bu, a popular sailing guide, cherished by generations of local fishermen in Hainan province, comprises the names of more than 100 islands in the South China Sea, as well as the records of ocean currents. It can also be concluded that Xisha and Nansha waters had already become fishing grounds for Chinese fishermen hundreds of years before. China was the first country to discover, name and explore resources in, as well as exercise jurisdiction over, the South China Sea islands. As early as 184 AD, Eastern Han Dynasty, Jianghai was then commonly referred to as the South China Sea. From 960 AD to 1279 AD in the Song Dynasty, the South China Sea was under the administration of Jiyang Army, Chongguan and Fu Dujian, under Guangnan Xilu. These historical records indicate that China not only encompassed the South China Sea islands in its territories, but also clearly defined its administration level. In 1405, Zheng He led a fleet of more than 200 ships and launched an unprecedented maritime expedition, demonstrating China's powerful capability of navigation in ancient times.
根据它政府航海图的这个画来看哦，这些你大概标出来了，你就是西沙咯、中沙咯，还有南沙这个位置。 已经是标在它的航海图上面了。
在后来的发展过程当中啊，无论是宋代、元代还是明代和清代啊，都是把这个南海诸岛称之为石塘和长沙，而把石塘、长沙呢纳入到广东省群州府万州辖下。
From the 19th century, Westerners started to set foot in Nansha, but at that time they only saw the Chinese engaging in development and operations on the islands. China Sea Pilot, a book published by the British Authority in 1868, describes in detail what life was like for the Hainan fishermen travelling between islands in the South China Sea. On May 19, 1909, as assigned by the Zhang Renjun, the governor of Guangdong and Guangxi, Li Jun, then chief of Guangdong Naval Force, conducted a mission, led 3 naval vessels, namely Fubo, Shenhang and Guangjin, departed from Yulin port of Hainan Island and landed on the Xisha Islands. They erected yellow dragon flags of the Qing dynasty to declare sovereignty over the islands they landed on and gave names to these islands. Ganchuan Island and Shanhu Island were named after their terrain. China has been exercising jurisdiction and sovereignty over the South China Sea islands, and it has fought against foreign aggression several times. In February 1948, the Ministry of the Interior released the locations of South China Sea islands and declared to the international community both the names of the South China Sea islands and the dotted line. For a long period of time after the announcement was made, the whole international society, including other countries surrounding the South China Sea, have not expressed any objection. In the fishing grounds where Chinese fishermen worked generation after generation, foreign soldiers and armed fleets started to appear from the 1970s. From 1989 to 2010, there were more than 380 cases of attack, robbery, detention and shooting targeting Chinese fishermen, involving more than 750 vessels and 11,300 fishermen. In the early 21st century, the Philippines started to deny the existence of the dotted lines in the South China Sea, and disturbances started to rise in the peaceful South China Sea. A captain as he is, Jian Daowu finds it hard to envision the glory of Zheng He, who is also titled captain. In fact, there are more than 1.6 million Chinese fishermen who are also concerned about whether their sons and grandsons will have the chance to sail and work in the traditional fishing grounds. How can a life that lasted thousands of years be maintained?